Track number 9 is 10,000 Tears featuring Ed Sheeran. Now, I didn't know it was Ed Sheeran until he started singing and rapping in the song. Right. And I was like, I've just put in inverted commas, like pukes in my mouth a little bit.
I knew you'd be one of those non-Ed Sheeran.
No, wait. Shut it before you judge me. You jumped the gun. I said it's commercial AF, but it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad song at all. Like, it's fine. It's okay. It wasn't like offensive or anything like that.
Yeah, and offensive.
No, but do you know what I mean? Like, I've heard some Ed Sheeran songs where I'm so angry because I just dislike it so much. But in this, I mean, listen, there's no taking away from Ed Sheeran's, ability or anything. The guy can sing. Yeah. I think, my wife absolutely cannot stand him, right? And I'm like, he's got ability though. He really does.
He does. Yeah, he definitely
does.
He's
really good, like really good singer. I think he's got a fantastic voice. The thing is, he doesn't, like, maybe his personality or maybe a lot of his music just doesn't appeal to me. But I think he works on this song. He's quite buddy with the the MCs and all of that anyway, because he dabbles.
He kind of came up like that, right?
Yeah, he dabbles in that stuff, doesn't he? Yeah. He used to do that with his acoustic guitar. It was a unique selling point.
Yeah,
he can do
that
it.
Number 6 collaborations thing, which had like all grime artists across the entire thing, and it was all like acoustic kind of minimalistic kind of beats. I remember that shit used to bang back in the day at school. Like it was like, wow, people actually can make music like this. This is sick. It was almost like a kind of cool kind of way of justifying grime to like the white kids at my school. Like,
yeah, I see what you mean.
It became like a bridge, for them to be like, oh, maybe we should take these guys seriously, and it's like, yes, it's not just Eminem and Devlin. Surprise, surprise. What's the common denominator? But yeah, apart from that,
an MGK, but maybe that's a bit later.
Oh, fuck that, man. But yeah, no, I know I jumped the gun for the Ed Sheeran thing. I didn't mean it on this song. I meant that I had this suspicion that you would be one of those kind of puke in my mouth anytime Ed Sheeran comes up. But I wanted to actually ask if you were that. I was kind of hoping you were, though, because I've always noticed this with Ed Sheeran, and it's one of those things, how he's talking about with Ghetts. Like, I can't believe I'm hearing this life advice from Ghetts now. Like, that's not what I expected when I first heard him. The reverse is kind of true for me for Ed Sheeran, because like I was talking about that collaborations tape that he did with the grime artists and stuff, and it was very weird and interesting and different. I never would have expected that there would come a time in the future that Ed Sheeran was this guy that you just kind of, people just supremely loved, but then this whole other section supremely fucking hated his music. Like, his name, I remember he got dropped like in a lecture one time when people were talking. I can't remember what the lecturer was saying. She was talking. She made an example of like, oh, you can't judge me based on. You can't judge a person based on certain things that they hate or whatever like this, or like or dislike. I could easily tell you that I like this, but I dislike Ed Sheeran's music, right? Like, she just dropped it in as an example. And I remember thinking, like, why does this guy always come up in this conversation? Like, me, I can take it or leave it. I don't really care. I don't listen to his music. I don't listen to his albums like that. But it's never, if I hear a song, I'm never bothered that much. But there always seems to be people that like really, really dislike it. And I kind of wanted to know what it is. Like,
do you know what? I don't know if there's a little bit of jealousy, because he's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of music. He can kind of do it all. Like, he's worked with everybody. He's worked with Rick flipping Rubin, for crying out loud, like on an album. Like, he can do whatever he wants. I think that he's just been, and unfortunately what happens in this day and age is that you can be overexposed, and I think people have had enough.
Or maybe
he's been everywhere for so long, and people are bored. We know you can sing, we know you can rap, we know you can do your little funky bits on your little guitar and loop pedal and stuff like that. I think it's just a bit a classic case of overexposure. You're not bringing really anything new to the table. We know what you can do. It's kind of like a used tissue. Like, we've used you, now throw you away. And like, who's the next sort of person on the conveyor belt? But the thing is, like, with Ed Sheeran, he's kind of like, I was going to be really mean, but he's got longevity because he's got so much clout with other artists that he can keep on being sort of like recycled and sort of repurposed to fit into different sort of
sure
different genres and things. He's got versatility. He can do it all, to be honest.
Yeah,
apart from I don't know, the flamenco and Spanish guitar, maybe. There's not much he can't do.
Yeah. That's interesting because I actually, one thing about Ed Sheeran that does actually make me almost puke in my mouth a little bit, right? I've just realized this now, that that's a great expression for what I feel for this, is actually when he does do the rap thing.
It's horrible.
And when he doesn't, sometimes it works. And I think when I was younger, that kind of style was new. So I kind of was like, wow, that's so cool, that's so sick. But because you mentioned longevity there, for me personally, when I hear that now, I'm just like, ugh. Nah,
you can accuse him of being a culture vulture in that.
To an extent.
But I do think, and I
just think the style as well, I just don't like it now. I just find it really corny. It's kind of like,
but you've grown up. Though that's the thing.
What I mean.
Your tastes have changed.
With me. It hasn't grown with me though. But there's other MCs from back then which I can listen to still, right? But when he does his rap thing, it hasn't grown with me. It was new and it was fresh back then.
Yeah.
It hasn't stuck. It's kind of like, oh, I only like that because I was 15 and I was like,
clueless. What do you know at 15?
Yeah, and I mean, like, I used to listen to like.
Apart from me, who was listening to Tupac, but yeah,
oh,
you know,
of course, as if I wasn't listening to Tupac as well. But
I'm kidding. You were too busy listening to Ed Sheeran, mate.
Oh, it's true. There was a time when, because everyone at school was fucking in love with Ed Sheeran, man. Like there was always that video of him backstage with Devlin, and he's like freestyling with while he's tapping his guitar, and people like, this is the thing. We were talking about one time before about when you have certain artists or certain styles which are like really great for the viral YouTube thing, where someone who's outside of the genre sees it. They're not too they know what rap is, they know what hip hop is, but they don't know it inside out like that. Or just they don't know it deeper enough. So when they see something like that, they're like, wow, guy's using his guitar and he's rapping and he's just talking about a normal day in his life. Wow, that's so interesting. Wow, mind blown. And you're sitting there just like, this is corn bullshit, man. This is not like new territory. To us, it's going to be corny, right? I can't blame the people who like it. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not trying to be a snob or anything or say that they can't enjoy it. That's fine. I'm just trying to explain why I think I get that kind of puke in my mouth thing. Because when I see that, I'm just like, ugh. Oh man. It's just so corny. It's so on the nose. It's so like, bleh.
Yeah, there's no nuance to it. It's just basic. Like a lot of Ed Sheeran again is he's commercial. He's as commercial as it gets. He's a commercial money making machine. That's also why I guess you and I don't vibe with him. I wouldn't say that I'm not a person that I don't really have really strong feelings towards him. I don't know.
More fair about it.
Well, the thing is, I can see his ability. Like he has a fantastic voice. Like he just does
really
stuff.
Deny those things.
Yeah,
you can't deny his ability to play instruments and
that's it.
Sing and stuff.
I mean,
whether you like his music is different.
Yeah, and that's the thing. His music doesn't speak to me. I'm like, unfortunately, one of those people that will say, if you want a really good guitar player, you can listen to, I don't know, Thomas Ereck from a band called The Fall of Troy. That guy is an absolute. If I ever gave you a Fall of Troy album, you wouldn't know where to begin. Like it's music that you've never heard of before. Yeah. I'll talk about it, but no, it's
you can guess how I'd feel about the album. How about that?
Especially Fall of Troy's first album, or second album. But yeah, I mean that is crazy. But no, but this is a guitarist who sings and plays, and it's the most insane, complex guitar riffs you've heard, and he's just singing over the top of them like it's nothing. And like Ed Sheeran can do that, he sings, but he's a lot more
It's a bit more of a shaved down
plinky
version. It's
plonky, like,
kind of version. Yeah. I think that's a good point, actually. That's a really, I think that's what it is.
There are so many bands which do it. Like, I don't know, take Muse, for example. Like, three-piece band, like Matt Bellamy, the lead singer. I mean, my goodness me, he plays like an absolute machine. I'm
learning so much right now because I know Muse, as in I've heard of them. But like, I wouldn't have known that I've heard that name before, the main guy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
But I wouldn't have put them together because that's just not really in my kind of radar, or it's not really in my world.
I was a huge fan of Muse. Like when they were I was about 16 when they first came out. With Showbiz in 2000, then Origin of Symmetry, the second album, in 2002, and then their third album, Absolution, in 2004, I think, or 3, I can't remember. My goodness me, those 3 albums blew me away. Like, I used to play bass, and there's a couple of tunes that, like, just
straight up on that
bass heaven. And then when I was learning guitar, Muse again. It was like Muse, Rage Against the Machine, the Chili's.
That's pretty cool. That there were staples like that. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I loved their first albums, but then they went off in a direction, and I went off in another one. So, you know,
it's fair enough. I think that's what happened with Ed Sheeran as well. For me, at least, you know.
Exactly. He was never in my wheelhouse. Like, I think I was too old when he came on the scene. Like, you know.
Yeah, you might have been out of that kind of emergence period of his. You know.
Yeah. I remember hearing about him, and I remember thinking, "Oh wow, that guy's got a really good voice." But hey ho, right.
I went through the same journey as you on this song, where I thought first time I was like, "That's cool, whatever." Ed Sheeran, But then more I listen now, this song gets stuck in my head, like that little vocal sample at the back after his hook.
Yep,
I love it. I don't know what it is about it, but there's something it reminds me of, and it's something I don't know if this makes sense to you. Doesn't sound like something I would hear in an American song.
Oh man, I'm so glad that you brought this up. I was going to bring this up at the end.
Okay.
This was going to be a whole conversation.
Okay, you can. Yeah, you do your thing.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing. Like, well played.